Welcome back. My guest, John Brown, former teammate of mine, and I got him at the end of his career. I sure wish I would have been able to play back when he was in college and in pros. Terrific player, terrific person. John, before the break, I mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit about faith and in your experience over the years. How did your faith affect you, your behavior, et cetera? Because, you look back and you were a star. I mean, you were a star in college. You go to the pros, and it's so easy, I think, when you are successful to get off the right path. What kept you grounded?
Really, I became a Christian around the 8th grade, and my mom was an integral part of that. There was a little country church. My mom she did not like crowds, and she wouldn't go to a large church. But there was a small country church called Shepherd Baptist Church that we attended, all through my high school years. And I think that that really grounded me, and it helped me just understand, life and what's right, what's wrong. That took me to a point where, as a driving force in my life, my mom worked in a shoe factory, and for her, I wanted to make a good living and try to help her get out of it, because I knew it was killing her. I knew it was so hard on her. She could only last so long. So that was a driving force really through high school. Made me work a little extra hard on in the summer and what have you. And in college, one of my number one goals was to help my mom get out of that shoe factory. And I think having faith and knowing that things are going to work out if you try to do the right thing, which I tried. I failed a lot. We all do. We all make mistakes, and we know that those mistakes are forgiven. Just ask for forgiveness, and we know that. But that driving force, that when I was able to sign my first contract with the Hawks, I was able to get her a house and get her a car and help her in life. And it made it hard for me sometimes financially, because I was supporting two households. I was living in Atlanta, and we think about all the money these guys make today. Well, by the time you split it a few ways, it wasn't all that much. And I feel like those are sacrifices that I gladly made. But I think God, I think He's taking care of me because I took care of her. Mm-hmm. And I know there's no deals out there that you make to be rich or something, but I just feel like I always feel like I've been blessed because I really tried to take care of my mom, and I am a man of faith, and I think that it keeps me grounded. And it's been a crazy couple of years. Churches are closed and what have you, and but yeah, it's an important part of my life, with my afterlife.
Yeah, I think he really blessed you with a beautiful bride, Brenda, coming along. Brenda used to come on our basketball trips with us, and she was pretty much like one of the guys. It was terrific having her along. And you met her a little bit later in life. You guys share that faith? Is she that type of a person too?
She is, yeah. She's more diligent about reading the Bible a little bit more than I do. I fall short there some, but she is really good at that way. I mean, and she was good for our girls. She could tell all the stories and help them in their decisions in life and what have you. But no, Brenda's been absolutely talking about a godsend, to me. And I would go to, like when I went to Italy, my first wife would come over for 2 or 3 weeks, then she'd leave, go back to the States. And I think about Brenda, my present wife, she would never leave me. She would have never, ever, ever left Italy to come back to the States. She's just that kind of person. She would never leave that. And those are the kind of things that drew my first bride out of my heart, is there just wasn't the dedication there, to be with me. And Brenda and I had to have a great life. We were very thankful, that we've been blessed so much. But yeah, she loves to come to games. She got to go up to Portland to the Nike World Championship games. And we had a great run out there, beat the 72 Olympic team.
Yeah,
that's the Russian Olympic team. We came out there, and that was my payback for not getting to play in the 72 Olympics, the original 72 Olympics. So we beat the Russian Olympic team out there. I'll always remember that. It's one of the absolute highlights of my post NBA career, is beating those Russians. I got the last laugh.
We not only beat them, we beat the hell out of them too. We beat them by like 30 in the championship game. And I think you went for like 38, something like that. So that was good.
It was so fun. Great that American flag over us, taking those pictures. That was just so awesome.
That was a great, great trip. I want to talk a little bit more about your business. You have been extremely successful in, you were in construction, I think, for some, and definitely in the administration of property, etc. Has your faith guided you in that? Is one question. The second question is, were there things in athletics that lend themselves to the way you manage your organization?
I always look for team spirit, try to find people that will fit into a team. And honestly, over the years, you run into a lot of people that don't fit. And for good or bad, Vince Lombardi once said, you can't change people, you gotta get rid of them. And as much as we try to change people sometimes, most people do not change. If they're a certain way. I've had a lot of scoundrels come through, and some embezzlement at times, and you do your best to get good people. I've got an unbelievable crew right now, but sometimes lives change, people leave, you got to hire new people. But I've always tried to keep it, teamwork, and that keep the fun involved. Property management, which is 90% of what we do, is very stressful. You've got people they're upset about their air conditioner not working or whatever the case may be, and they want it done now. And so it's stressful as a property manager to keep and we do a very good job. We've got maintenance people that are there the same day, a good job, but there's still a lot of stress, and sometimes people don't pay. And with the pandemic, we've got people who are using some of the current laws to not pay. They sit there. We cannot evict them. We've got one person that owes $8,000 in back rent. We can't get them out. It's against the law. So how do I apply teamwork of basketball? The same thing. Just you try to get good people together. You try to make it, keep it loose, keep it fun. Knowing there's going to be stressful times, you got to pay them. You got to do what everybody else does. You got to give them vacations. You got to give them health insurance. You got to do things that you got to compete with the rest of the other businesses out there. But it's been good. I'm to the point now where I can travel more. And fortunately, I've got people that I can leave right now, and I know it's going to work just as good or better than it ever.
That's great. If you can get into that type of position, that's just wonderful. But you're right. There's a book that was written a number of years ago by Jim Collins. And and he always talks about, it's called Good to Great, and it's talking about good companies becoming great companies and how they go about doing that. And one of the things that he talks about in there is you got to get the right people on the bus. And then once you get the right people on the bus, you got to get the right people in the right seat. And if you don't get the right people in the bus, if they don't fit in the right seat, you got to get rid of them, like you say. And there's ways of doing that aren't, brutal or harsh or mean or anything else. I mean, I've had to do that when I was in business, not often necessarily, but you still are concerned about that person and their opportunities going forward, so you can try and help them move into an area where they could be successful. My last couple questions I want to ask you is, first of all, have you ever wanted to coach?
I've always thought that I would be a decent coach, but I've always remembered one thing. I would rather be remembered as a good player than a bad coach. Because I've got a good reputation as a player, and I really don't want to screw that up. Maybe I would have been a great coach, but maybe I'd have been terrible too. So,
John, I should have taken your advice. I should have taken your advice.
I think I could have helped a lot of young men. I've got a fairly gentle personality, and I know the fundamentals of a game, and I think I could have helped a lot of people. But at the same time, the business world called, and it worked out. A lot of people, probably end up coaching because, like say at the high school level, because they're really, they've been pulled from the soccer team or been pulled from the baseball team. Well, you got to coach basketball too. It's not really their first desire.
Right.
No, I actually think about that a lot, of what kind of coach I would have been. I coached the league, just like everybody has, coached the daughters and stuff, and we were good, and we were fundamentally sound. But I've got the good basketball part hanging in there, and that's what I want you to remember, Joe, that I was a good basketball player. And you don't have to worry about that. I was 0-19 on my college coaching debut or something.
Well, there's a huge difference between, I was fortunate enough to play point guard, all my life. And I always felt like I could control the game from that position, or I could help control the game from that position. But when you're sitting on that bench over there, it's really hard to control the game. You can try and influence it in many ways, but it's more difficult, I think, than I thought it would be when I left corporate America to become a coach.
I slept better at night than you did.
You say that. I still go to bed at night and think, why did that referee make that one call that kept us from winning that one game that would have allowed us to go to the national tournament? I still think about that today. It's been 12 years since I coached, or 11 years since I was coaching. So it never goes away. It never goes away.
I can understand that.
Any career regrets?
Oh, I regret getting into a fight one night with a guy named Calvin Murphy. I was going up for a rebound in Atlanta, and Calvin Murphy was about I'd call a 6-foot guard in the NBA, great player and all-star caliber. Well, he struck his leg out to trip me, because when I went up and I rebounded the ball, and then I fell backwards on my butt. And his leg was at a diagonal. And as soon as I saw what he did, I turned around and punched him. The next thing I know, I get about 3 punches in about 2 seconds. And, of course, they kick us both out of the game for fighting. I get back in the locker room, and Gene Tormolen, I used to call him Bumper Tormolen, that played for the Hawks in the old days and was our assistant coach, he said, "John, what in the world did you get in a fight with him for?" He said, "He's a Golden Glove boxer." I said, "Bumper, why didn't you tell me that beforehand? I would have never done that." But that's the day that we lived in. You fought. I mean, day one, Cotton Fitzsimmons said, "John, you got to be ready to fight." And now you cannot do that. But back then, It was kind of encouraged. You cannot let people run over you. And I think the technical foul for a fight was 325. And it was tax deductible. So you got into 4 fights a year. and you held your ground, but I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have went after that guy because believe me, if I found him as a boxer, I would have never done it. But really, I don't have many regrets. You know, hindsight's always 20/20. You know, you'd always think about doing things differently. But I had a great run. I'm happy in life. I'm not going to dwell on the negative. Sometimes we as human beings, we start thinking the negative stuff, and we just get into this little hole. And when that starts happening to me, I say, wait a minute. Think about all the good things, you know? And you get out of that hole and you get positive again. And so I don't let stuff like that happen because we've all screwed up a lot and we've got some regrets, but you can't dwell on that because it doesn't do any good. Yeah. Life's much better served being positive and just getting rid of those thoughts. You're much happier. You have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Any advice that you'd give for young coaches that might be watching this podcast? Because you've gone through the different stages in the high school, the college, the pro, and et cetera. So advice that you might give to them.
I would say, for one thing, don't forget the past because the game to me has not really changed. We can take a guy like Zion Williamson, and we can go back to a Charles Barkley. Then we can go back to a Wes Unseld. The guys are all unbelievably big, strong, talented people that were unbelievable in their day and probably still play today. But yet today, there's not much offense for him. You take someone like Brad Stevens at Boston. He comes up with great out-of-bounds plays, and he runs some offense, a lot, more so than a lot of people. But just don't forget the past. Look at some film. A lot of fundamentals have been lost. That simple little mic and drill can make even, nobody wants to play back to the basket, right? Even big people want to face the basket. I'd say pick up that skill. Teach your guards like yourself. Teach them how to post up a guy. You might have a guy 5'10" trying to cover you, post him up. Mm-hmm. But you got to have those. You got to work on those skills, back to the basket skills, because nobody's got them. And why not have one more skill? But just staying with the fundamentals. Hey, you can still run a play like the triangle that Phil Jackson ran all those years with Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. That's a triangle. That's the same play we ran at Mizzou, same play that Coach Simmons ran in Atlanta. It's a read the defense type of play. I don't understand why there's not more of that kind of basketball. I mean, it worked for the Bulls all those years. And to me, the game does not change that much except for the amount of threes. There's who would have thought there had been a no shoot area between the 3-point line and about 8 feet in. You don't shoot in that area. That's a no shoot zone in pro basketball because they say, well, just get outside the line or go to the basket. One or the other. Don't shoot a mid range jump shot anymore. But you've watched a lot of games where you're down 3 and you got a minute and a half to go and guys keep launching threes to try to get back and end up missing them. And if they had just gone for the solid 2 or gone to the basket, get fouled, you could have got back in the ball game. It's such a tempting shot. But I'd like to see more old school basketball play. I think someday we'll get back to that. I think people will get tired of what we're doing now and they'll get back to that. I do think that.
Yeah, I agree with that. It started probably about 10 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that, when they started coming out and setting that high pick. And your big guy comes out and sets the high pick. And in the pros, a lot of times you have guys that can do the pick and pop. So your big guys can shoot the 3. But they've been running that same thing over and over and over for years and years. And personally, I don't think it's that difficult to stop. I mean, trap it. Trap that thing and you can keep somebody from hurting you if you really work on your traps. But eventually they're going to get away from that and come up with something else, just like you say. And it all goes back to, read and react, share the basketball, move without the basketball, and play hard. you can do those things, you're going to win. And that's my opinion anyway. But I think if I had advice for younger coaches, I'd say don't go with the trends all the time. Just about what you're saying, look back and see how things worked before. Is that something that can work today? And if you execute, it will work today.
You see teams that they're playing against a 2-3 zone or something. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There's lots of plays against a 2-3 zone or a 3-2 zone or whatever. There's plays you can run against those. But no, people see it these days. They don't know what to do. They just pass the ball around, try to shoot a three. But just harken back to the past a little bit. It's all there. Like I say, the game, the pick and roll will always work, and the give and go will always work, and the moving without the basketball will always work. Just stick with the fundamentals, and maybe try a little bit of the old stuff. I'd love to see it. I know that the popularity of pro basketball is down a little bit right now. Maybe people are finally getting tired of that. I don't know.
Yeah, they may be. Well, John, this has been just terrific. I really enjoyed the time we spent together today, and I value our friendship. It's always something that's been special to me. I was very blessed to have been on that team when Randy Knoll asked you to come play with us, and got to know Brenda over the years, and know that you've been a great dad, just a super person. And to be able to have you share your thoughts and everything with people that do see this podcast means a lot to me. So thank you for being our guest, and hopefully I can somehow get you out to play in the over 70 group.
Well, I got 2 titanium knees or whatever they are. They're supposed to last 30 years, and my doctor said I could play. But my verticals went from 2 inches down to about an inch, so I don't know if I can help you.
John, thanks a lot. It's really great seeing you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.